Welcome back to Patman Garage. We are taking a look at the 2010 Fusion Sport. It's got 3.5 in it. It recently overheated, and we're going to figure out what's going on with it. Last night when I got the car here, I pressure tested the cooling system, and we are not leaking currently. So don't expect that we're looking at a water pump at this point. And then I checked with the car running and the AC on. I was not getting any cooling fans to operate, so it obviously would make it overheat. So we're going to jump into diagnosing the cooling fans and figure out if there's any electrical problems before we replace the fans. Okay, so I've got my meter piggybacked into the big connector on our cooling fan relay module here, and we have battery voltage. This is not even key on or anything like that. This is just constant. So we're good there. There should be some sort of communication module or communication signal, I should say, going to the fan module. I would imagine it's probably LIN bus if I had to guess, but I don't know that for sure. But we'll take a look at voltage on that guy once we turn the car on and see what that request looks like. Okay, and piggybacked to our communication line here. We have no voltage with the key off, which is expected. Then we will turn the key on and see what our voltage looks like. Or we'll actually turn the engine on, see what our voltage looks like, and then we can turn the AC on and request fans that way and see what our voltage looks like next. All right, we got the engine running. We just cold started it. There's no fan request because the car is cold. But we'll go ahead and turn the AC on and see what our signal does on our voltage here. So no fan operation, but no request either. All right, so it actually looks like it's a ground control circuit. Our voltage is fluctuating, or ground is fluctuating a little bit there. So I have the power of the meter going to the power on the fan, and then I'm grounding out through the communication side here. You can see our communication is changing depending on what it's trying to do. So looks like car is all working correctly. We just need to look at replacing the fan now. All right, and then as our fan is not requested, the AC is turned off, you can see our ground supply is much less now. So we have no request for fans, so the fans would not be coming on as expected. And again, we're verifying the signal side is correct and working correctly, so we have a bad fan or fan module at this point. All right, so the other clue we had with the reservoir leaking or low, I actually have coolant, kind of hard to see on camera here, but over here on top of the engine mount. So coolant was actually coming out of our cap and just kind of going that direction with it, versus, and actually even a little bit up here too, looks like. But coolant was spraying out of the cap, doing its job, instead of coming out of the bottom on the where the weep hole is for the water pump. So that was our other external clue here, is that we were overheating without having it come out the water pump. All right, so I started playing with pulling the bumper off. Well, actually before that I started playing with pulling the cooling system fan out, and it does not look like it's going to come out the top at all, which does not surprise me. Most of that's because of these tabs that are sticking out from the core support. So to pull the core support, you got to pull the bumper. So started working on pulling the bumper. We had some little push pin clips along the top here, and then we had a couple of 10mm bolts, and then a couple more push pins on the sides here. I'm going to work on these push clips here, 1, 2, and 3, and then we'll figure out what's underneath the car next. All right, I did not get it on video, but the bottom side of the bumper has a bunch of 7mm screws across the bottom on the painted bumper section. And then you have 2 electrical connectors on each side for this particular bumper. You have the fog light is the bigger connector, and the smaller connector is the side marker light. To pull the fog light, you got to pull both these tabs at the same time away from the center, and then on the side marker you got to squeeze the tab here in the middle and then pull. And then the bumper retainer just clips in here. You just kind of start on the bottom side, kind of pull out just straight out this direction on it, and then that'll work itself loose there. And then you pull the bumper off the front of the headlights this direction once you get all that loose. We're going to work on finishing tearing down the core support, so we're going to pull the reinforcement beam and headlights and then see what else it's going to take to get the core support off. Looks like headlights are 10 millimeter here, 10 millimeter, nope, that's a plastic clip, 10 millimeter here. There's probably 10 here on the side, and that might be it. One here as well. So, and actually two. There's two right there. So, handful of 10s, headlight should pop out, and then we'll work on getting the core support out after that. Or the, the reinforcement beam, which looks like it's got some 13 millimeters across the bottom and across the top. All right, reinforcement crash beam is out. There are the total of 4 13s on the big box here, and then there are 2 10 millimeters on each side that go through the body colored bracket. It's going to be here and here that go through the body colored bracket into the core support. One of those is what I thought was actually a headlight bolt, but that's actually going to be that reinforcement. So from here, core support's pretty loose now overall. We just have a couple attachment bolts on the outside here, and we should be able to just kind of lean it towards us a little bit, and then we should be able to get that fan out of the backside, hopefully. At least that's the vision here. We'll see how that actually pans out. But for now, I think that's an excellent stopping point for the night as we wait for parts to show up. And if we're waiting on parts, that means I should probably go ahead and order parts. So I'm gonna go jump on Rock Auto and grab a set of cooling fans and module. I plan to order the Dorman one, is what I'd priced out or plan to buy ahead of time before the diagnosis, but got that confirmed, so we're gonna jump into ordering parts now. All right, new fan. All right, new fan assembly showed up, so we're getting ready to install it. I went ahead and pulled out the remaining core support bolts here and here. And then I removed my 2 8s that hold on the washer neck and the AC line. And the core support kind of popped out on its own towards me under its own weight. I'm hoping we can just leave it right where it's at. And that should give us enough room to kind of lean the radiator forward a little bit and then draw our fans out of it. And before we take the core support off, we also have a, wow, if it'll focus. Before we take the core support off, we need to disconnect the hood switch as well. And we need to make sure that we have the hood supported. I shoved a pry bar in there. Since the core support has the prop rod on it, it'll come out with it. Well, I ended up deciding not to fight the core support more than I had to, because under its own weight it was hanging down quite a bit, and it was just kind of making things harder than it needed to be. So I popped the SRS connectors off both sides, ambient temp sensor off this side, and there's a couple clips across the bottom, but man, the core support came right out. I left it connected to the hood cable, the hood release cable. I just have it set off to the side where I don't have to worry about trying to mess with that part of it or fish it out. So we're good on all that. The fan did come out once I had a little bit more space to work. Now what I ended up doing was kind of pulling the radiator this direction a little bit, and then I kind of worked the fan assembly back and then to the driver's side, and then that allowed me to clear the transmission cooler lines that are, there's a brace that sits underneath like that for the fan mount. But overall, that came out much easier after I stopped fighting the core support, so definitely take the time to take that off, and then we'll get the new one dropped in. Alright, so fan assembly is clipped in. I still need to work on getting the cooler lines and stuff clipped on it, but that's it. It just drops right back in place. Alright, we got the rebar, or the front crash beam, bolted back in. There is a indicator here that says top, so in case you got flipped around. And then on the bracket here, about in this area, there's one little hook that will help hang that in place, but also might get in your way if you kind of come at it at a weird angle. So make sure you come straight at it so the hook will drop into the frame rail. And then we are working on getting the core support bolted to the actual reinforcement beam here. So what I'm doing is just putting my knee underneath the radiator and lifting a little bit, and you can see that our hole will come into place here like that. Just lifting with my knee, and then we'll get the bolt started for that. And now that we got both of the upper lower bolts on both sides of that reinforcement beam to core support, now we're ready to tighten down the actual core support we just hung in here originally. Alright, she has been running for about 45 minutes at idle. I did turn the AC on, see if the fans came on high. I turned the AC off just to get it to run without the fans. So verified both speed, high speed and low speed are working correctly, as we would hope. And yeah, we can go drive this thing around the block. But the temperature staying nice and steady now. Like I said, we've been idling for about 45 minutes now, but we'll go take this thing out and see how she does. Well, I guess this is as good a time as any to test the cooling system with the AC on and idling. We're doing really good on temperature still. Like I said, this overall this swap wasn't too terribly bad. So I appreciate you checking out another video of mine, and I will catch you in the next one.